The free agent rumors are starting to heat up. New York Jets officially release Devontae Adams. Alan Lazard seems to be on the move next. How do the Jets fill out the rest of their wide receiver room this offseason? Whether it's through the draft, whether it's through free agency. Today we're joined by Matt O'Leary, fellow Jets content creator, to break down how the Jets can fill up their wide receiver room before the start of the 2025 season. A lot to get into, and we'll break it down and much more, all coming up here on a Wednesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer, Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate you tuning in here on this Wednesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, March 5th, 2025. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash the like button. You are subscribed to the channel. I am your host, Connor Long, here with you every single night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NY Flight Jets Talk, Talking Jets. If you're new, welcome. Super happy to be here. If you're returning, like most of you guys are, I can't thank you guys enough for sticking with us through the we're nearing the dog days of the offseason. I know we're a week away from free agency, but the news cycle is starting to slow down. We'll obviously have the big hit with free agency over the next week or so, and then after that, we're going to be talking draft and much more. So I can't thank you guys enough for all your support. Smash the like, subscribe. Free way to contribute to us and as we grow the show here on YouTube. The paid way, we'll throw the ticker on down below. You can contribute to our membership raffle. Every membership gifted or every $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our raffle, our biggest membership raffle yet. Prizes we're giving away include a Wayne Corbett signed jersey, a Darrelle Revis signed photo, an Altoon signed photo, a Keyshawn Johnson signed photo, a Jericho Cotchery signed photo, a free item from a merch store, and a channel emoji. So getting on that if you haven't already. Can't thank you guys enough for all your support on the show. Any questions for Matt and I, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. Pinned comment to call into the show at the top of the chat. Let's bring on our guest for today's show. Joining us here in his weekly spot, Jets content creating royalty, Mr. Matt O'Leary, gracing us with his presence on the program. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, you kind of said it at the top. We were talking before we hopped on here. It's a little quiet right now, but I think, by this time next week, hopefully we have some free agents to talk about, or at least some rumors.
For sure. And, we were talking about how the news cycle is starting to slow down a little bit. But the news that we got here this week, Devontae Adams, Jets officially set to move off of him. A couple of days before the Jets officially made that announcement, there were talks the Jets were going to potentially try to put something together, try to shop Devontae Adams, maybe get a pick in return. Deebo Samuel, just the day before those rumors came around, Matt, went for a 5th-round pick. And I know the assumption right away is, well, Devontae Adams is such a better receiver than Deebo Samuel. You could get a 4th or a 3rd for him. But then people immediately forget that Devontae is carrying a $38 million cap hit next year. I thought at absolute best you were going to get a 5th or a 6th rounder for him. So at that point, I'd rather just free up the 20-something million dollars now you have to spend in free agency and add a couple wide receivers and just overall beef up your roster, because this Jets team has a lot of holes. So were you on board with the move? Would you rather have gone that route than trying to, get a 6th or 7th round pick in exchange for him?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to get a draft pick for him. I thought this was how it was always going to end. And you mentioned it. The contract is really the big difference, because if the Jets were to trade Devontae Adams, whoever they traded him to would have had to rework his contract. And everyone in the world knew Devontae wasn't going to come back to the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. So they could just wait him out until the Jets would have to cut him, which is what they did. They saved $29.9 million, almost $30 million in cap space by making this move. This is the road that I always thought it was going to end on. It just seemed like that was the direction it was going to go. And I really can't say I'm all that surprised. I mean, he was pretty good in his 11 games with the Jets. There's no denying he can still play at this level. It's just unfortunate that, trading the 3rd round pick for him didn't result in a playoff season, or, it was just an 11 game rental, so to speak.
For sure. Now, looking back at that move right before the Jets Week 6 matchup, now a lot of people are going to look back and say, oh, that's a panic move because the Jets finished 5-12. On the flip side, let's say the Jets, went on this miraculous run with him. They snuck into the playoffs. It wouldn't have been moved as a move in desperation trying to revive the season. If you had to go back, do it all over again, would you have traded for Devontae Adams in that time or place?
Well, now that they finished with a 5-12 record, that obviously changes things. But at the time before, like they were still kind of alive going into that Pittsburgh Steelers game.
Certainly.
Um, so I understand why they did it. And they were desperate. Their first desperate move, they fired Robert Saleh to hope be a spark. That didn't work. They lost to Buffalo. And then the next thing that they did was, okay, let's see if adding Devontae, which is something they wanted to do for like a year and a half before they actually were able to, get him in here. I don't blame him for trying to make the move. It didn't work out. It is what it is. It's a third round pick you would have liked to have, but the Jets did have 2 third-round picks because of a trade they made during the draft last year. So
Yes.
it's not like they're short on picks. I think they have 8 actually in the 7 rounds. So they'll have plenty of opportunity to add talent in this draft.
The one thing I don't like, Matt, about giving up that pick is the Jets pick at 42, and then they don't pick again until the early 90s. So you watch so many talented players go off the board. Meanwhile, I think it was the 73rd is the overall pick this year that they gave up for Devontae, and that was the perfect bridge from 42 to 90. That's where you could get your hands on like a really, really solid guy who's going to go in the 3rd round. A good example is, for example, offensive tackle Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. Could have been that guy you get there, that 6'7", 321-pound tackle who's really just a well-built overall as a lineman, who I really like, who Jets now probably not going to be in a place to draft him, as they pick at 42, like I said, and then they don't pick again till the early 90s. But Matt, we heard today that the Seahawks will be moving on from Tyler Lockett. They will be releasing him, a move that a lot of people have expected for a long time. Just hasn't been all that productive in the past few seasons. Do you think the Jets could potentially be in play for Tyler Lockett?
I don't know if he fits what the Jets are looking for. And like, this is nothing against Tyler Lockett. Like, he was a very good receiver in this league for a long time. He's going to be 33 at the beginning of this year, and he's a smaller receiver. He's 5'10". And I think with Garrett Wilson, they kind of like to move him between as an outside receiver and inside in the slot. And I just wonder how much longer Tyler Lockett can continue to play as an outside receiver at his age. So eventually, like, if you signed him and then had to move him inside, not that he would be crazy costly to bring him in at this point in his career, but you're going to kind of stylistically change how you'd use Garrett Wilson. I would expect the Jets to be in on bigger wide receivers. Like, I think Joshua Palmer is a good fit for that as a bigger style wide receiver. Darius Slayton, not that he's crazy big in size, but he could kind of play all over the formation. With 2 guys that were released today, you kind of grouped them together in a video I did earlier, but Christian Kirk and Tyler Lockett, they're both similar. They're both like 5'10", 5'11" receivers who I think would be probably better suited to play inside as a slot. And I don't know if that's what the Jets are going to be looking for on the free agent market at the position.
Matt, the way I look at it, you look at the Jets wide receiver room right now, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson. What those 3 guys have shown total, you have one rosterable guy in my eyes, and that's Garrett Wilson. So you need to fill out, you need to add 3 wide receivers throughout this offseason, no ifs, ands, or buts. Whether, you get all 3 in free agency, you get all 3 in the draft, whatever. 2 and 1, 1 and 2, whatever. You need to add 3 free agent wide receivers in my eyes. I look at this free agent wide receiver class, and if you're looking at the list 4 or 5 years ago, it's an elite list with a guy like Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, all these different guys. But now, the way I look at it, Devontae Adams was just released. Him and DK Metcalf, who just requested a trade. Those 2 guys are, in my eyes, the clear-cut number 1 guys, 1A and 1B for me, top available wide receivers. Then after that, you look at the list, like, there are the expensive options. Like, Keenan Allen would be more expensive than Tim Patrick and Josh Palmer. But I pretty much, from like a production standpoint and an upside standpoint, I pretty much group those guys all in the same category. Where I'm looking, so I think you sign 1 free agent wide receiver, whether that's your Tim Patrick, whether that's your Josh Palmer, whether that's trying to take a flyer on Matt Collins, who could be somewhat of a receiving option and gives you special teams value. And then I think you look to the draft. I'm really, really high on Ted McMillan in round 1. Emeka Ibuka from Ohio State is someone I'm super high on. And then like a Jaden Higgins from Iowa is someone I really Iowa State, someone I really like. Jalen Royals, Savion Williams, all these different guys. How do you want the Jets to address this need when it comes to how many free agent, how many bodies do you add in total, and where do you get those bodies from?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. It's probably, I would say, two guys from that like middle tier range that we just talked about in free agency. I don't think they're going to make like this big sexy splash at the wide receiver position to pair like a 1B with Garrett Wilson. Another name I like as like a second round option for the Jets, Jack Besh, at
Yeah,
a
TCU.
TCU. I think he would be an interesting choice. So add in like let's say Darius Slayton, Josh Palmer, Jack Besh, like those kind of names. I think we're going to end up being familiar with over the next week or so with free agency and then heading into the NFL draft.
Yeah, so Besh is really interesting. I'm leaning more towards I really like Jack Besh overall. I have him as one of my top receivers in this year's draft. Obviously, he had the crazy, Senior Bowl game crazy story. 6'2", 215 pounds, strong and reliable pass catcher, solid route runner. Has great. He's very very tough. Has great overall physical traits. Thing is, I like the other players on the board at 42, like a Xavier Watts from Notre Dame is a safety who really intrigues me. Tyleek Williams, the interior defensive lineman from Ohio State, is someone I'm really interested in. So I'm for spending it. I think wide receiver could be like a Besh could be on the table if you don't take a Ted McMillan in round one. When all's said and done, I think they go with I think they take Ted in the first round, and I think they take Jaden Higgins on day 2 or day 3. That's what I think the Jets are going to do. So they need to fill out this wide receiver room because you can't go into the year with Garrett Wilson as your number 1, Tim Patrick as your 2, and then you have Malachi Corley and Xavier Gibson competing for that wide receiver 3 spot. I just don't think it's feasible at all. Appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Matt O'Leary, Connor Long, here with you on a Wednesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Throw your questions in. We'll get to those. Pin comment at the top of the chat to call into the show. Our guy, Luppy, comes in. He says, need a wide receiver too. Who we go after? I think the draft is not a good way to go with this. Who do we get? Luppy, we just talked about it. Matt, I know you said you think the Jets should go 2 wide receivers in the draft. Do you have any overall thoughts, though, on the draft class? Because I'm the opposite here. I disagree with you, Luppy. I think this wide receiver draft class overall is very deep, whether you're talking Ted McMillan and Mecca Ibuka at the top of the draft, ranging all the way on day 3, a guy like Nick Nash from San Jose State, who was super, super productive. I think it's very, very deep overall, and I think that's where the Jets are going to get the majority of the receivers from.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. With this receiver class in the draft, I don't know if I'm like pinpointing one guy in particular and saying like, okay, that guy's going to be a star at the next level. But I think there's people who can come in and be like solid number 2 or number 3 guys for you that you can get in the first and second round, even into, later on in the third round. There's guys also, but you're right. It's such a huge need for this Jets team. They're going to be active in both free agency likely and the draft. I just don't know if we're going to get like that rookie wide receiver who comes in and has a Garrett Wilson like impact immediately.
For sure. Matthew Smith, why are we talking about wide receivers? Cam Ward is not a wide receiver. Matt, where are you on Cam Ward?
So I like Cam Ward as a quarterback prospect, but I don't love him. So for me, I don't feel comfortable giving up all the draft assets to go up to number 1 to grab him. I think it would be, you're pick swapping this year. It's your second round pick this year. It's a first next year and probably another second or third from next year's draft class as well thrown in there. I think that's a little too rich for me in this unforsaken world. And I don't think this happens, but if he was there for the Jets at 7 and they wanted to take him, completely different story. But trading up like 4 picks and likely 2 first rounders to do it, that's tough.
I don't get it, Matt, because Cam Ward, I think, he's my quarterback 1 this year. Overall, I think he's a solid quarterback. Just when I watch Cam Ward, there's nothing that I'm like, I look at and I say, he is this franchise guy. He's this generational talent you can't pass up on. He has solid arm strength. Like, he's still learning how to utilize his athletic ability. A lot of turnovers overall from Ward. So I look at him. He has some traits. I think he could be solid at the next level, but nothing that really jumps off the page for me and say, you need to give up multiple first and second round picks to go up and get this guy. I don't get the Cam Ward trade up hype from Jet fans. Luppy coming back in, tight end. Do we re-sign Conklin? Matt, we've heard conflicting reports here. We've heard Zach Rosenblatt say the Jets are going to do everything they can to re-sign Conklin. And then we've heard Connor Hughes of SNY come out and say the Jets are moving on from Conklin. So what do you think the Jets are going to do with Conk?
So if you look at the free agency class at the position, I think you can make the case Tyler Conklin's one of the two best guys hitting the market. I think him and Juwan Johnson. I always want to say Juwan Jennings. I know that's wrong, but anytime I talk Juwan Johnson, my brain immediately wants to say Juwan Jennings. But I would think the Jets sign one of those two guys. And with Conklin, I think you can get him back on a 1, maybe 2-year deal at maybe $6 or $7 million, and then you could still draft somebody. I love Tyler Warren. That's one of my favorite options for the Jets at 7. But even if they don't do that, there's day 2 guys who can come in and be competitive for you right away. Gunnar Helm in the second round. I really like him a lot. Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson, like
Elijah Arroyo, all these guys. Fannin, Juwan Johnson's super interesting because he's from New Jersey. I put him in a free agent video. He's been okay with the Saints over the past few seasons. Moving on from Conklin is the same thing with Morgan Moses. You're creating an extra unnecessary hole that does not make sense for me. I don't get the fact you're moving on from Tyler Conklin when you can pay him $5 to $8 million, who can get you 500 yards and get you a couple touchdowns. That equates to $5 million for me as a tight end too. I'm not saying he needs to come in and be this clear-cut starter. I'm even a fan of Tyler Warren in the first round. You could literally align anywhere on the field and he'll thrive. I think you draft 2 tight ends this year as well. The way I would do it is I would go Warren in the first round. Obviously, if Tet's off the board, I would go Warren in the first round. Harold Fannin from Bowling Green with 92. That's the way I'd do it. And then, boom, you go from arguably one of the worst tight end rooms in all of football to now you're talking top 10. If you can get Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin, and Tyler Conklin all in the same room, I think that would be really special. So I think moving on from Tyler Conklin would just be creating an unnecessary hole for the Jets. Caden comes in, says pay Sherwood. Matt, we heard today from Tom Pelissero, he might command around $12 million a year. So I was always in that 3 for 30 range for Jamie Sherwood. Someone who wasn't drafted by this regime, but he's a homegrown talent. The Jets drafted him, came in as a safety. Jets transitioned him into linebacker, was top 3 in tackles last year. I'd pay Jamie Sherwood $10 million a year to come back.
Yeah, I think that's what the market's going to be. I saw somewhere else, who was it, Rosenblatt, had $8 to $10 million as the range. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets up to 12. I would like the Jets to bring him back, but I think it's going to be tough. You look at, San Francisco could be in the market for a linebacker, Atlanta, and that's 2 coaches who really loved him a lot, and Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich. So I think it's going to be challenging for the Jets to bring back Jamie Sherwood, but in a perfect world, yeah, I would love to bring him back on this team. He was a nice, pleasant surprise from a year ago.
Luppy, thoughts on Fields? I want Winston. Matt, I'm big on Justin Fields. If you can get him in here for $8 million, he's a low risk, high reward type move. Someone who has a lot of upside, still in his 20s. Here's the thing, Luppy. You know what you're getting with Jameis Winston. There's still that glimmer of hope. There's still that unknown with Justin Fields that maybe he's more than just a bridge option. Like Jameis Winston, we've seen a ceiling. We haven't seen the ceiling of Justin Fields yet. And that's what I like, the unknown.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Like if you're trying to find that next quarterback who has, the mid to late career resurgence, it would be Justin Fields. Like, Baker Mayfield had it, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. If I had to bet on which one of these free agent quarterbacks it would probably be Fields. I do like Jameis Winston, though. I think he'd be a really fun option for the Jets this year in a kind of a bit of a transition year. Fields would be such a dynamic rusher on this team.
Yeah.
If they want to go with a run first offense, I could see that working. But I do have some question marks about him stretching the field and taking, a little bit too many sacks. So there is a downside there. There's a reason why he's available and not a franchise quarterback right now. But I agree with you on the upside.
Matt, something else that just crossed my mind, I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I noticed I didn't ask you. I know you were big in the boat of when we were talking about trading Hendon Hooker for trading Jordan Travis, for Hendon Hooker. You were on the boat. You wanted to stick it out with Travis, see what happens. So as soon as I saw that report, Matt, of his agent coming out, I said, I got to ask Matt O'Leary about this on Wednesday. His agent telling ESPN's Rich Cimini that it's essentially blaming the Jets for his delayed rehab and these multiple setbacks. Does that change your stance of wanting the Jets to stick it out with Jordan Travis and having him on this team next year?
I don't think it makes the agent or Jordan Travis look good. It doesn't really change my stance on him, but I think it's all BS. I don't like it. Doesn't make sense. Why would the Jets want to rush back their third string
Exactly.
quarterback from a year ago? And anyway, it was the agent who set the initial expectation. The agent was the one who was pushing that he'd be ready for training camp around this time last year during the draft. So I don't know how they could then spin it and try to blame it on the Jets.
1000%. Matthew Smith, I'd rather Jalen Walker dart at 7 than Warren. Garbage pick. Matt, I don't get the Tyler Warren hate here from Matthew.
No, I don't either. And then like Jalen Walker, fine. Like I think
solid
he's
linebacker. Solid linebacker.
good player. Be like Warren's garbage, but I'll take Jackson Dart instead at 7. That's I don't get that one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Jalen Walker's another one though. Like, do you really want to take that linebacker at 7 when you have the opportunity to re-sign Jamien Sherwood and pay Quincy Williams? I don't get it. Like, I'm not big on linebacker at 7. I don't. It's a position you don't take in the first round in my eyes. But the Lions did it with Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs. Two positions you don't take high. That's what the Lions did.
I think he might play some edge, kind of like what what happened with Dallas when they took what's his face all those years ago.
Leighton Vander Esch. Is that
No. The Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, because he was listed as a linebacker, but then ends up playing a lot of edge. I think he would kind of play a similar hybrid style role.
But at that point, Matt, I'd rather just take like Mike Green from Marshall, who I really like.
Fair.
James Pierce from Tennessee. Like, you could get those traditional edge rushers. I think Jalen Walker's a mid to end first round type guy. Our guy Robert C. coming in says, I don't think Justin Fields is leaving Pittsburgh. Matt, I think this is what's going to happen in Pittsburgh if I had to make a prediction. I think Russell Wilson comes back there on a 1-year deal and they draft Jalen Milroe in the second round. That's what I think is going to happen there. I think Justin Fields is gonna be with another organization.
Yeah, I tend to think so too, especially because they benched him a year ago, right? Like they chose Russell Wilson instead. I know it didn't end well for them down the stretch, but my thought would be it'd be more likely Russell Wilson returns there than Justin Fields.
Matt, where do you have Robert C. finishing in your Asmaniac Madness bracket? I was on the site the other day, so you filled out some picks.
Yeah, I don't know how far I had him going. It was really tough to make these picks, man. There's a lot of great guys in this Asmaniac pool.
For sure. Matt, I know we only have about 4 more minutes left with you, so we'll rapid fire through these final ones, and then we'll take your calls after we let Matt go. John says Shamar Stewart or the Miz Armand Membu at 7. That's gambling on traits there for me, purely with Shamar Stewart. I think he has a lot of upside. I'm not touching that, though, and no offensive line for me in the first round, especially Armand Membu.
Yeah, of the two, I'd prefer Membu because at least he can there's a spot for him. Starting right tackle would be his role from day one. That wouldn't be my plan A for the Jets in the draft. Shamar Stewart is such an upside pick. He's kind of like you're betting on the traits, but I have a hard time taking him in the top 10 with the lack of production that we saw in college. So if they traded back 10 picks and took him, maybe that's a different story, but I think there'd be better options at 7.
Luppy, sounds like we're running it back with Tyron and another backup like Mariota or Wentz. Ugh. Luppy, other than the personality, what is the main difference between Tyrod Taylor and Marcus Mariota that you get in them that you don't get in Jameis Winston? I don't get it. Marcus Mariota honestly isn't an option I would hate as a backup. I think he gets too much hate just given he was a number 1 overall pick, and he obviously didn't live up to the hype, but he should have been utilized more with the Raiders. Maybe you give him an opportunity still. He's not 34, 35. I think he's 29, something like that. 31, maybe something in that range, the 29 to 31 range. I wouldn't mind bringing him in a year as a backup, but no to Carson Wentz. Flat out no for me. He's fundamentally broken. Can't move to save his life. I'm not touching Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch Carson Wentz either. I like Tyrod. I don't know if I'm
I
one
love
of the
Tyrod.
few who would. Okay, so you're on the same page. I'd be okay if Tyrod was the day 1 starter. No, you definitely would have to add another veteran quarterback in here, I think, because you do have that injury concern, but I'm good with Tyrod starting the year.
I love Tyrod, Matt. For me, he's a stopgap starter. That's what he's shown. And he's a backup guy who, as a backup quarterback, 4 games, he can get you to that 2-2 record. He is literally 500. He is literally 500 as a quarterback throughout his entire career. That is the definition of who he is. He's a game manager. He's a facilitator who doesn't turn the ball over. Still an athlete. When the supporting cast around him isn't great, he can still put up numbers. I'm on that Tyrod train. The thing is, you can't roll into the season with Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis just because that's preparing for disaster. Because Tyrod Taylor, you're not getting a full season out of. You don't know what you're getting in Jordan Travis. Personally, what I would do, I think you move on from Jordan Travis. I think you draft a Kyle McCord or Will Howard. And I think you sign someone in free agency. I think that's the Jets' best option overall. And this offseason, appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Matt O'Leary, Connor Long here with you on a Wednesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Follow Matt on all socials if you haven't already, at Matt O'Leary NY. Matt, another week in the books. Appreciate you hopping on with me as always. You got any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's a fun time as always. And like I said at the top, hopefully next week when we talk, we have some new players on the New York Jets that we get to discuss.
Matt, appreciate you as always. Have a good night.
All right, you too, bud.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt O'Leary checking in here on the show. If you haven't already, follow him on all socials at Matt O'Leary and why one of, if not the best Jets content creator on the internet. One of the flat out best content creators in general, not even Jets, NFL, everything. Matt O'Leary is the best. So give him a sub. Great guy too. Give him a sub. Give him a follow on all socials. I appreciate you guys. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Can't thank you enough for all your support. Keep the questions flowing. We'll get to those. Pin comment at the top of the chat. If you want to call into the show, let's go over to the phone lines. Hep is up first here on the program. Hep, you're on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Hey, Connor. How's it going, bud?
Doing well.
Good. My opinion is that the Glenn Moogie team is only going to get one shot at drafting a quarterback in the high rounds. And I don't see why waste it this year because it's kind of a dud
Exactly.
position. The other thing is that our wideout room is decimated. However, this year's draft class seems to not be able to get separation. It seems to be a little bit of a problem. So I'm thinking that I like Warren because I think we're going to see a lot of running this year. We're going to see a lot of really good defense, a lot of blitzing. You're going to see a really exciting defense this year. We're going to really pour it on. You're going to see Glenn really do his magic this first year. The offense, we're going to run heavy, what we should have been doing last year with Brees. Let's run. And I think Warren is a much better blocker than we would have had with Bowers last year.
For sure. And I get what you're saying 1,000% there regarding the wide receiver room. Quarterbacks, I'm in lockstep with you there 1,000%. Just because they're essentially buying themselves a mulligan year. Hep, look at why Joe Douglas got fired. Obviously, some other contributing factors. You can't defend the 32-67 record or whatever it was. You simply can't get behind that. But Zach Wilson played a huge role in that record.
Yeah,
and Aaron Glenn and Darren Mucci are tied to whoever they draft, like you said in the high rounds. They draft Cam Ward this year, and he pops off, and he's incredible. Fans are going to want to build a statue for Aaron Glenn and Darren Mucci outside. But if they draft Cam Ward and his first season's like Zach Wilson, they win 4 or 5 games. Second season, you win 3 to 5 games. They're on the hot seat entering year 3. And when you draft someone, you're locked into a 3-year plan with them pretty much.
Yeah.
So you're living and dying by whoever that quarterback is you draft, whether it's this year in the first round or next year, because it's going to be one of these 2 years, hands down.
And we have too many holes to fill anyway. You know what I mean? So why try to put a round peg in a square hole? I mean, we don't really we're not even set yet, So let's do our positions of need now and get ready for next year, possibly, or we'll get lucky with one of these quarterbacks, that would maybe like you said, we'll get lucky with Fields or something, and he'll turn it around. Who knows? Find an identity. But anyway.
Yeah, appreciate you as always, Hep.
See you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hep checking in here on the show. Great call as always from our guy Hep. If you guys want to call into the show, you can do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions flowing. We'll get to those. Let's go back to the phone lines. June, the GM, is up next. June, you're on NY Flight Jets Talk.
You be acting up. You put nobody on your show who gives you any pushback.
I get guys on my show who give me pushback all the time.
You don't. All these guys, Matt O'Leary, the other dudes, they treat you too nice. Let me tell you something. And I want to be honest now.
Look at all the AR truthers I've had on first. That's what I'm going to say.
What you don't like about Cam Ward? Have you seen the man play, Connor?
Mm-hmm. I watched 5 of his games.
Okay, and what you don't like about him?
He doesn't have any. He's a good player. Don't get me. I'm not saying Cam Ward is a bad football player.
No, you came out and said you basically said he looked basic. Nothing he does looks basic when you.
I said there's no traits that jump off the chart because there aren't.
Are you kidding me? He has elite arm strength. Elite arm strength. Elite.
He has above average arm strength.
No. Elite arm strength. Don't try to downplay Cam Ward. And a matter of fact, what about some of those throws he made on the run, running left, throwing across his body to the back? Come on, stop, Connor. You got.
You know who else had elite arm strength, June?
Who?
Zachary Wilson.
I'm not comparing him.
I'm not comparing him to Zach Wilson. That's all I'm saying.
What does that have to do with it?
This is what's happening when I look at Cam Ward.
Go ahead. I want to hear this.
He's an athlete. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's a quarterback.
What? No. He's a good he's a good quarterback. I'm saying he's a good athlete. That's what I'm saying. He's a solid athlete too. He doesn't know how to utilize all of his physical traits.
He's a kid, kind of like you.
You want to give him multiple assets to trade up for him, though.
I never said that. I never said that. I said if the Jets are that sold out on him, because I'm not a general manager, you're not. I'm just saying if they're that sold out on him and want to trade up for him, they better pray to God it works out. And at that point, we're gonna support him regardless. I'd rather not trade up because we have a lot of holes. You know what I'm saying? But what I am saying is, I look at next year's quarterback class. Everybody keeps on I've been watching football a long time. Everybody keeps on saying next year's class. Next year, who in next year's class is guaranteed going to be a superstar? Archie Manning ain't do nothing in Texas. Nico, he's okay in Tennessee with great wide receivers and a plethora of talent around him. Who? Drew Allen, who threw off his back foot and threw a pick six to lose the game? Who next year is looking like automatically superstar? Nobody.
No, but there's nobody this year as well. That's the thing.
But there's nobody in any year because guess what? I don't think nobody thought that Jaden Daniels was going to be that good. They knew he was going to be good. But who you think? Nobody aside from who's the guy down there at ESPN who interviewed for a GM job?
Louis Riddick.
Louis Riddick was the only one who said this dude's the next best thing. I knew he was going to be good. Nobody say he's going to do that, take him to the NFC Championship game. What I'm saying is this. No, regardless of the quarterback, it takes a special situation for a quarterback to be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And I think we need to focus more on that than anything. I don't think, and I know we're not a quarterback away, but definitely not.
No, unlike the past 2 seasons. That was the thing. And what I was saying about Ward is he falls in your laps at 7, you take him. He falls in your lap at 7.
Absolutely.
My whole argument is you don't give up multiple assets to trade from.
I don't think right now the way we are right now, no, we shouldn't because I don't know what Joe Douglas did because I was a little confused this past week thinking about Joe Douglas' tenure, right? And I said to myself, damn, it's like he got us a lot of good players, but then I look at our roster and we're kind of nude in a lot of areas. Like our linebacking corps is kind of empty. We're strong at secondary in terms of corners. I like the young corners we got. We don't have no wide receivers, and the ones we do have that's on the roster, we hardly use them. We got good running backs, but our quarterback room is empty. It's kind of weird. We really don't have as much talent as we think we have.
It has to do with expiring contracts, June, and it has to do with Joe Douglas decimating the defensive line. That's what it says. What I was saying about Cam Ward, though, I'm not trading up for him because I pretty much, if I'm going to give up multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, and assets to trade up for someone, I pretty much need them to be made in a lab. That point blank period.
Well, let's say this.
That's not Cam Ward. I mentioned the too many turnover-worthy plays. Doesn't know how to utilize his athletic ability. Plays hero ball too often for me, and he needs to limit the predetermined pre-snap reads. For me, that's 4, but 3 strikes and you're out when it comes to trading up. Boom, just listed 4.
He's still developing as a young player.
But if you draft someone in the top 10, here's what it is, June. If you draft a quarterback in the top 10, you need them to come in and be a top 10 to top 12 quarterback right away.
Hold up a minute. Let me answer that theory right there. Everybody thought Caleb Williams was the next best thing out of USC, who first went to my college, Oklahoma, right? Went out there, stuck with Lincoln Riley. Everybody thought how he looked last year, like a bum. And he was a can't miss prospect. Now, but watch now. Remember I told you.
You're proving my point.
No, I'm not, because you're saying that he has to be like a no miss. It's not about no miss. It's about landing in the right situation.
I said they need to have the perfect traits.
But
Jaden Daniels, was his situation great?
Yes.
I know everyone's hyping up Jaden Daniels, but besides from an elite offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury, who else in Washington? What about that team really jumps off the chart for you?
What do you mean? McLaurin is a formidable.
McLaurin had a great season.
Wait. You asked me a question. I'm gonna give it to you. They had good running backs down there. They got Eckler down there who was getting busy in San Diego. They got the other kid Robinson. What are you talking about?
I'm saying on paper. That is not a very.
That's not what you said. You see, you flipping it up now. You're trying to get technical. You said, look, Washington put a good staff around him. They got good talent, and they knew how to use them. A lot of drafting a quarterback is having a game plan for when you draft the quarterback. And they did a good job with him. Unlike Chicago, who didn't have.
They hired Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator.
Right, and it worked. The point I'm trying to make to you is, it worked. You need the right situation. It don't matter. You draft Archie Manning last year. By the way, Archie Manning, the Mannings will never let Archie Manning come to the Jets. They hate the New York Jets. I promise you that Archie will never come here. Ever. So let's get that out the way. Plus, he's a Longhorn, horns down, Boomer Sooner. I don't like Texas. Anyway, what I'm saying is this: any quarterback you draft has to come into the right situation. Now, watch Caleb Williams.
And do the Jets have the right situation?
Absolutely not.
So then why do you want them? So, okay, I'm confused with your whole argument. Are you trying to tell me that, do you want the Jets to draft Cam Ward, yes or no?
But I'm saying no.
That's why I'm confused.
My argument is, I think Cam Ward is a generational talent with the right situation. That's my opinion of him. You're downplaying him, saying basically he's no good. And I disagree with you.
Well, I never said.
Now you're trying to switch it. Would you trade a form for Cam Ward? I never said that.
I never switched it. I've said he's a good football player all along.
He's not good. He has the potential to be great.
Like you
do. You have the potential to be great. You can't look at him where he's at now. Now, let me tell you what. I think if he comes to New York, unless this regime is different, I don't like no quarterbacks coming to us because we have a history of not developing quarterbacks. You know that, and I know that. Do I have faith that maybe the regime can change it? You know, Connor, I've been a Jets fan so long. I don't know. I've never seen us get it right. We have a history of getting it wrong. For me, and I said this a long time ago, you can go check it out on Boy Green's show. I was the one banging the table for Warren at 7. I said, you know what? I won't get married. Grab the kid from Penn State. I think he reminds me of a young Jeremy Shockey. I told people he reminds me of Shockey. His game. He looks for the physical contact. He got good hands and he's athletic enough. I like him. Will the Jets draft him if he's there at 7? I don't know. If not him, Will Johnson if he's there. I like another shutdown corner next to Sauce. I don't think Cam fall in the 7, and I don't think Shador fall in the 7. And if we draft Jackson Dart at 7, I'm going to lose my mind because he definitely ain't a first rounder to me. I don't care what nobody says. Would I grab Dart in the 2nd? If you think he's that good, I guess so. But I won't grab him in the 1st round. Would I trade back at number 30, 31? Maybe that. But we got a lot of holes, Connor. We got a lot of holes because you got to think about our defensive line is
that's why I say you need a starter. You need a starter at pick 7. You need to start at pick 7 no matter who.
And that's why we're going to have to grab best player available if you want to be honest. And who's that going to be? I don't know. I don't know. Carter's out of there. Travis Hunter's out of there. I don't think Mason Graham will be there. I don't think what's his name? Cam Ward's there. I think Shador's gone. I think the only player we're going to be able to grab probably Will Johnson, Tyler Warren, somebody like that. And out of those,
June, if I had to make a prediction right now, this is how it goes. Number 1, Abdul Carter to the Titans. Number 2, the Browns, they get Travis Hunter. Number 3, the Giants get Cam Ward. Number 4, the Patriots draft Will Campbell. Number 5, the Jaguars draft Mason Graham. Number 6, the Raiders draft Shador. Number 7, I'd hope the Jets draft Ted
McMillan.
Yeah. Ted McMillan.
So I'm in the air with him. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in the air with him. I like his personality. I heard him speaking confident. Young man. Looks like he's intelligent, conducts himself correctly. I think he's talented, but I don't know about his separation speed in the next level. That's the only thing that concerns me with him. I want to see how he runs his 40 in the pro and his
He's not gonna run. He's not running.
But that's crazy to me.
It's smart for him. He is making the right decision by not running, because June, when you look at a guy like Ted McMillan, he has to run a 4.6 or under, and if his agent made him run, he should fire his agent.
But here's the question. Yep. If we draft him, we're hoping. If we draft him at 7, we are hoping he's the next Evans out there in Tampa. That's what we're hoping for, right? Because the games are similar.
Well, I mean, Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame. Like, it's hard.
Well, I'm not saying on that. I'm just saying we're hoping he has that type of potential.
Yes.
You draft the receiver at 7. That's high.
Uh-huh.
That's really high. I don't think that Shador passes the Giants. I think he's already locked in with them. I think that's why they've been saying he's been acting a little arrogantly. I don't know. He's not my boy. He don't text me no more. But anyway, I don't think he passes 3. And word is Cleveland's going to draft a quarterback, which is crazy.
I don't think they are.
But that's what I'm hearing. I won't be surprised if number 1, I agree, Carter's going to go there. Number 2, don't be surprised if they draft Cam Ward. Like I said, it's my opinion. Number 3, Shador's going to go to the Giants. I don't know what's the order of the rest, but I do know I think Warren, Will Johnson, I think the wide receiver from Arizona that you like, I think they're all going to be available. It's just going to be of who we need most. Would I be mad at the receiver? I won't. I just hope he works out. But I'm going to tell you now, Tyrod ain't lasting 4 games, right? 4 or 5 games top.
6 at minimum. I think he gets you 6 minimum. Now,
what happens after that is, are we going to have somebody on that bench who can come in and keep the momentum going? Because he could get us 3-3. He can get us maybe 2-3. He can get us around there. Tyrod.
He's serviceable. He's a facilitator. He's a game manager who doesn't turn the ball.
When he goes down, if we do go young at quarterback, let's say we pick one up in the 2nd round, right? Let's say we pick up Daughter, we pick up a McCord. Would they be ready to go in the limelight? Because they're going to come in sooner or later.
No, that's why you sign a veteran.
Well, veteran is out there because they ain't looking sexy to me. I don't like them.
They're not. No option is attractive, June.
None. No. So then, if that's the case, take a flyer on Fields. Then give him 15. Let him come down here and see what he got.
15, no, but like 8 to 10, yes.
I think he's gonna get more than that.
Who's paying him?
Overpaying. The league overpays nowadays for everybody. You seen how much the kid from the Raiders got? He's good, but damn.
Crosby, yeah. Well, they had to do everything to keep him there because that's a losing team. Like they had to because of that situation, June, that awful situation in Vegas.
I mean, I give Fields 2 for 20. Will he come down? I don't know. He takes 2 for 20. I don't know.
He wants a 1-year deal because he's the guy who's confident.
He wants a prove a deal.
He's gonna want to gamble on himself, yes. And
he
wants
that.
I'm telling you, he would take less money if it guaranteed he would be a starter. Just because I can tell you right now, he wants to be. He's praying that he's the next Sam Darnold, where he comes in 1 year, boom, revitalizes his entire career and gets paid somewhere else. That's what he's hoping for.
I'm going to tell you one thing about him that I do like. I think he has a strong mind due to the fact that when he went to Chicago, you already know that was a hot mess down there in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you go to Pittsburgh. I don't know how you bench a kid that's 4-2. I don't know what sports looks for. I don't know what they saw in him. Did they say, hey, let's bring in old man Russ? Did they make a promise to Russ before he signed? I don't know how that went down. I don't think he's gotten a fair shot with a good coaching staff and everything in place yet. He hasn't got his shot yet.
Mm-hmm.
I won't mind him taking that shot with us, but I hope we get it right, man, because right now, Connor, I love Glenn. I grew up watching him. He was one of my favorite players, but I don't know if I can just fully trust my organization because they always let me down. That's what they do. That's what this team, when you signed up, Connor, whoever set you up for this pain, that's what they do. They hurt you. And every year I was your age when I started watching. In fact, younger, Connor. I was around 7 years old, 6, 7, watching the Jets. Every year I come back. I think they're going to do good, Dad. I think my dad, may he rest in peace, used to tell me, you're rooting for losers. Be a Giant fan like me. And I didn't listen.
Oh, your dad was a Giant fan. Oh,
big
God.
time Giant fan. And I should have listened to him, Connor. I was disrespectful. And I said, I don't like that team. I like that team. I like the green team. I like the Jets, Dad. And all he did was look at me every year like this. And now look, still suffering.
Yep.
I pray we get it right, Connor. Hey, and congratulations
June,
on the new show coming.
Appreciate it, June. Appreciate you.
Make sure you promote it so we know in advance when it's dropping.
Oh, the show with Jack and Chris.
Yes, sir.
So I don't think I've said it on here. We said it on Jake's show the other day. So yeah, Jack Cotter, Chris Grasso, and I.
I don't know Chris Grasso. Is he young as well?
He was in the bracket tournament. Yeah, he was the guy who faced Charles in round 1.
Oh, but I never heard him speak on nothing.
Yeah.
That was the first time I heard him speak.
Yeah, so every Sunday, I'll put up the link actually after the sometime soon. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're on here chopping it up. Chris, Jack, and I, like a panel. We're gonna have call-ins. We're gonna have guests on some weeks. We're gonna
what time Sunday?
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, but listen, man, keep inspiring the youth, man.
Appreciate
I'm proud of you, man. Keep it going.
June, you're the best. Have a good night.
Good night, man.
Always great chopping it up with you and great call. As always, if you guys want to call into the show, you could do so with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Next up on the line, we got our guy Gary on the show. Gary on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Put this real quick. All right. See, much better. I kind of agree with your take. Like, I'm trying to say this too. Cam Ward is absolutely QB1 in this draft.
Yep.
I think he's good. That being said, I wouldn't trade up for him either. Like, I don't think he's a game-changing play. Like I said, I think he's going to have similar production to Kyler Murray in the NFL. Not that he's a different quarterback, but that's the kind of, he's going to 12, 15, 6, like he's going to be in the middle of the pack quarterback. Probably a little bit higher than that. Is that really what you want to trade the future of your franchise?
No.
That's my point. It's like, if he fell to 7, would I take him? Yeah, but he's not going to fall to 7. I don't want nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders. I don't care if Shedeur Sanders fell to 42. I'm still not taking him. I don't even think he's all that bad. I just like here's my point about Shedeur Sanders. What does he do that's above average?
That's my whole argument. Like Cam Ward, for example. Like Cam Ward is above average arm strength. He doesn't have anything that jumps off the chart. When I look, there's nothing I look at and I'm like, geez, this guy's insane. This guy is a generational talent. Yeah. I don't see that in Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And if you draft someone especially if you trade up for someone, you need them to come in and be a top 10 quarterback right away. No ifs, ands, or buts. Right away. I don't care. Year 1, throw him into the fire. He needs to be a top 10 quarterback. I don't give a crap.
I kind of, a first-round pick is a lot. Like, if you take a first-round pick, and first of all, I wanted to address 2 things June said. First, he said everyone said Caleb Williams was the next great thing. No, I said he was a third-round pick, and you know that. I said there's nothing.
Yep.
Caleb Williams is not the one. And then second, what's his problem with the Longhorns? He was like, horns down? What's up with that?
I don't know. He's an Oklahoma fan. I can guarantee you that. I know June is in.
Oh, is he? All right. Well, that explains the horns down. Horns up. All right, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, even if Caleb Williams gets a little better, and I do think there's some upside in Caleb. Like, I don't think he's gonna suck this bad. I think he gets better.
For me, he's a high end 2, low end 1 his entire career. That's what he is.
And to me, that's a third-round pick. Like, that's how I saw him. You said comp him out. I said Justin Fields, but smaller, slower, with a weaker arm. Like,
yeah.
I don't really.
So poor man's Justin Fields.
Poor man's Justin Fields, and this is the generation. Like, I didn't understand it from the get-go. I get Cam Ward. I just think because it's not a very strong quarterback class, people are overrating him. Like, he's good. He's got good arm strength. He's really good. You're gonna say he throws too many predetermined hot routes, right? And I get that he does. He's gonna throw.
He's
he's gonna throw a lot of interceptions in the NFL. A, because he throws too many predetermined hot routes, and 2,
he plays hero
ball.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a guy that gets like all torn down by interceptions. Like, they're not ideal, but I don't write someone off because they throw interceptions. Like, I'm a huge Jameis Winston fan. You know?
Yeah, I was talking so I pre-recorded with Dom C actually right before we went on in this hour. My interview will be airing Friday at 8 p.m. here on the show with Dom C, and we were talking quarterbacks this year, and I thought he gave a great comp for Cam Ward. He compared him to Chad Pennington. He's someone who's not like elite, but is a facilitator, a game manager, someone who can come in, manage the game, be that facilitator type. And I think you have that on your roster in Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod Taylor is that he's an older Cam Ward who throws less interceptions.
The only problem with Tyrod is Eric keeps he's going to get hurt, right? Yeah, the injuries. I like Tyrod. I remember Giant fans telling me he's better than Danny Dunn. Like, stop. And then you go watch the tape. He's clearly better than Danny Dunn.
Oh, way better.
He's obviously better. They just had to play.
He's literally 500 as a quarterback on the dot. 500. Like, not going to throw interceptions. Guarantee he's not going to throw you interceptions. He's going to be sustainable. His success is sustainable for the first 6 weeks of the season until he gets injured, and then you got to put someone in there. Gary, I want to get your thoughts on Quinn Ewers. I know you're a big Texas fan. Good combine from Quinn. We're hearing
this is my problem. He threw after Will Howard. Anyone was going to look good after the way that Will Howard threw.
I don't care how you look at the combine.
I don't care either. Okay.
I don't care how guys look in their underwear throwing the ball.
Everyone was building him back up. I heard he's going to be a first rounder again because how he threw at the combine. He looked like Quinn Ewers at the combine. He made some great throws and then he made some horrible throws. I think if you put Quinn in the right situation, he could be okay. That's not what I want in a first round pick. It's not really what I want in a second round pick, right? He's a low IQ football player to me. He can't play a clean game. He believes in his arm strength. His arm strength is not that good. He's a horrible passer. His deep stuff is erratic and horrible, but he loves it, right? Like he's a guy like who swings for the fences with no power. It's like this is not you. Put the ball in play over the middle of the field, which I think is a vital part of the game. He's really sharp. He's really accurate on the intermediate stuff. He's really good there. But he wants to throw the ball 50 yards downfield in the triple coverage. It's like
it's adequate. His arm strength overall.
His arm strength is average. Like if you lined him up 1 to 32, he's probably 16. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I don't like his pocket presence overall. Too impatient for me. The lower body mechanics are a mess. Day 3 guy for me. Like I after the season ends, I don't put too much stock into anything unless it's meetings. I don't care about how they look in on-field drills. Gary, I know you're on the same page with me on this one, so we could both laugh about this. 26-year-old Tyler Shook being talked about as a first-round pick. It's hilarious.
Tyler, I'm calling you Connor. I don't even I couldn't even believe what I was seeing. Like this was like Xavier Gibson is from Woodrow Wilson High School in Dallas.
And
right?
Texas Austin. What is it called? Where did he go?
Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah,
right?
Stephen F. Austin.
Walked on. Right? And then I see he's on the Jets. I had to look it up. Like, is this Gibson with a P? Is this the 5'5" midget?
Yeah.
Like it blew up like whoa, right? But he's electric, right? Like he can make the team. Tyler Shough is the complete opposite. I saw him not play at Oregon. He spent, I don't know, a dozen years at Oregon. Then he went to Texas A&M for another dozen years.
Older than Trevor Lawrence.
He's older than Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's the same age as Zach Wilson. He's in that draft class. Those guys are on their, or Zach's trying to get a second contract, but those guys are on their second.
Trevor's on a second deal. He's another one, Gary. I know you watch college football. So Tyler Van Dyke, who's going to come out next year, is going to be super, super interesting because he was great at Miami during those COVID years. And then he got injured. Couldn't do anything in Wisconsin. Now he's at SMU. You can't draft someone who's going to be 30 by the time they're up for their second contract.
I want to do this with Tyler Shough because this is shocking to me, right? Like I'm like blown away. So these are guys who he couldn't keep his job to. Anthony Brown took his job at Oregon. Do you even know these people? Donovan Smith took his job at Tech. And
they even play in the NFL?
No. And then what's their current Baron Morton? These
I don't watch college football.
These are the guys who took his job in college. Donovan Smith took his job, then transferred to Houston and got benched at Houston. Like these are the guys who were deemed better, and it wasn't one guy at one small program. It was like multiple coaches in multiple programs that said, "Nah, pass." Right? Like this is what we're and now at 25 when he's playing against 19-year-olds, now we want to take him. Like if you put Zach Wilson back at college at 25, I'm sure he'd do pretty good, right? Like if you put Justin Fields back in college, I'm sure
exactly.
He'd do well. But this is what we're talking about. Like he's in the same the same high school class as those guys. Like this Tyler Shough thing, I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah, like, in the first round, and he's someone who went from. It's not even like he was so elite. Where, like you mentioned, getting benched for all those guys, he was trending towards undrafted 7th round. But when he got to Mobile, when he arrived at his hotel room in Mobile, the assumption was he was an undrafted 7th round guy. Good week in Mobile. That stock still, you can't put too much stock in that stuff in my eyes. After Mobile, his stock went from a 4th to a 5th round pick. Great meetings, blah, blah, blah. Then it went to a 3rd round pick. And then he has the combine, and now Zach Rosenblatt comes out and saying teams view him as a legitimate 1st round option.
I can't even comprehend
I don't
that.
get it.
He couldn't keep a job in college. He got benched 3 times in college.
And it's not like he's 22.
And not for guys who went on and won the Heisman, not for guys you've never heard of, guys who got benched at their next school. It's like, Connor, I am clueless. Like,
exactly.
On Tyler Sharp.
It makes no sense. So I know draft take. I know you'll like Gary Sykes. You're a Texas fan. I want to get your thoughts on him. Gunnar Helm, I have as my tight end 3 this year. Super, super big on him.
Yeah,
6 foot. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm super high on him. Where do you have him going? 2nd round, 3rd round? Where do you have him going?
So I have a top 30 grade on him. I have him going.
Oh, wow.
That's what I have him. He's not going to go there. Like I have a 4th round grade on Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's going in the 1st round. I think he is going to go in the middle of the 2nd round. I think he's there at 42. You don't take Warren in the 1st. That could be really, really appealing for me. Just because, like 6'5", 250 pounds, well proportioned with that frame, solid route runner, really, really solid overall athlete, and just outstanding
really
ball
good hands.
skills.
Really good hands.
Insane hands.
Yeah. Here's a question: who goes first, him or Golden? Golden goes first now, right? Because of what he did at the combine.
The 40, yeah. People put probably Gold. I think Golden's a 1st rounder. I think he's gonna go
because before he ran that, he was a 3rd rounder. Now he runs that and he's a 1st rounder.
You run a lightning 40. That's all you need. Like Xavier Worthy, I'm telling you, if Xavier Worthy ran a 4.35. 3rd round pick, 2nd round pick.
He runs. What did he run? A 4.19, a 4.17. What did he run?
4.21, I think it was.
It was something insane.
Yeah, I think it was a 4.21.
It was lightning. He's like, okay, now he goes in the 1st round.
Yeah, it was 4.21. That's what it was. Yeah, 4.21. You have lightning speed. Someone wants you in the NFL level. Thing is, when it comes to wide receivers, are you familiar with Tez Johnson from Oregon?
Yeah.
I can't like he's someone who's a solid player, solid traits. Gary weighed in 154 pounds. I can't roster someone under 180 pounds at the NFL level.
What does Gibson weigh? He can't weigh
183. Oh God.
Oh wow, does he? Okay.
185.
Yeah, 150 is way too small.
190. I said 183.
Gibson weighs 190. That's a
solid
boy for
they list him on the site. They lift him at the site as 190, which means he's probably like 180.
He's 190 fully dressed out of the shower with gold
clothes
on.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, Gary, appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate it. It's always fun chopping it up with you. You got any final thoughts?
One final thought. So I think, and I'm not rooting for this. This is just my gut because he follows me everywhere I go. At 42, the Jets take Quinn Ewers. That's my prediction. I'm not saying I want it. That's my gut feeling. Is that Dart's going to go late 1st round?
It's a waste of the pick.
Best quarterback. I'm telling you, he's from 10 minutes away from me, and I remember watching him in the state championship game at Cowboy Stadium and saying, this is the 100 out of 100 grade from 24/7 Sports. That's interesting." Then he went to Texas. I'm like, no, he sucks. So I know he's going to the Jets because I can't. He's going to keep following me. I'm not going to be able to get away from Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, I hate to break you the news, is going to go 42 to the Jets. I have that feeling. I don't know what it is. I just have that feeling.
Now, Gary, I do a show with another content creator, Talking Jets with Tigo, and he was saying that he talks to a lot of people in the organization, and he was saying people told him that the combine meeting with Quinn was super, super intense. So maybe that's a sign.
I've read that in the meeting. They had set up a private meeting with him. If you watch, he does things well. I've watched him seriously every game he's played since his sophomore year of high school. I know Quinn Ewers inside now. When they were playing Georgia in the SEC championship game, and they got the ball down 1 score with like 6 minutes left. Alan texts me. He goes, "Winners put the ball in the end zone here," and I go, "Quinn's about to throw an interception." You know what he did the very next play?
An interception.
I have it at times that like on the next play he threw an interception. I was like, I know this guy inside out. I know exactly what he's going to do. Like, he can't play a clean game. Every time the game's on line, he's throwing an interception. Like, I know him inside out, and I want nothing to do with him. Great kid. Love him, right? Hope he has a wonderful career somewhere else.
Gary, appreciate you having on as always, my friend. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, Connor. Yeah.
Gary checking in here on the program. Great call as always, Gary. Appreciate you hopping on the show. As always, going to wrap up here soon. So last chance calling on the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. And yeah, last chance to get your questions in. Tomorrow, guys, non-weekly guest, Boy Green, Jets content creator I'm doing the draft party with, will join us. Really looking forward to that. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. We're back with Boy Green. Guys are the best. Can't thank you enough for the support. Smash the like, subscribe. Last chance to get your thoughts in. Last chance to call into the show. Tomorrow with Boy Green. Friday with Dom C. Saturday, we're working on something. And then Sunday, the Next Gen Jets show with Jack and Chris. So fun slate of content ahead. So smash the like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That's how you get notified whenever we're on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day here on the channel. So, hey, that's the thing. If you guys are new, you like the content, hit us with a like, hit us with a sub. Get notified. We're on every single night at 8 p.m. Can't thank you guys enough for all your support here on the show. Going to wrap things up here on this Wednesday evening. That'll do it for me. I'm your host, Connor Long, signing off here on NY Flight Jets Talk. JETS, Jets.